So, before we get going, we took a quick break here, and while I was on the John, something very important occurred to me. If you wanted to fake someone being Beatrice, right, for presumably Maria's benefit, there's exactly one person on this island who could pass for Beatrice without any kind of wig, makeup, whatever. And that is Jessica. Has the same hair color, same hairstyle, same and I don't know how much of that is down to the art, but if you wanted someone to pass off as Beatrice, your best bet would be Jessica.
And yeah, she still seemed horrified by the death of her parents and all of that.
That's true. Which led you to...
What if it's not connected? What if the letter and the murders are separate?
Right.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
And still, it's a good theory. It's good to put it out there. Like, say play it out. What if Jessica was going along with this, with the letter bit just to, I actually don't remember where she was at the time, and that might be a hard deconfirmation, but whatever. Maybe they got her to play along with that for her parents' benefit, but then maybe someone saw an opportunity and jumped in with the murder. I don't know. All I know is that if you wanted someone to play as Beatrice, your first bet would be Jessica. Anyway, lunch ended, and the servants removed the tableware and went to the kitchen. Wait, we're on lunch now?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, not anymore.
Well, okay, fine. The wind and rain neither weakened nor strengthened, and the island remained cut off from the outside world. At first, it seemed as though Natsuhi planned to stop anyone from taking a step outside the room, but when it came time to prepare lunch, she finally realized this would be impossible. However, in order to avoid having anyone alone in the kitchen, she told 3 servants to go together. Because of that, the servants were the first ones given the right to leave the stuffy parlor, which had been packed with 11 people. Right, Kinzo, right. Since breakfast had immediately followed that terrible incident, preventing most of us from eating much, everyone tore into their lunches in silence. You will wash the dishes so you can rest a while, Canon-kun, Genji-san. Do you want something to drink? Perhaps poison? No? No? I don't need anything. Especially not poison, Canon. I don't need anything either, sir.
I'd like a bourbon.
No, that's the wrong kind of poison. If you like a bourbon, I guess
not for what ails me.
I guess if we're all gonna die, then you might as well. Here you go. Take the handle. Now, remember, you only want to pour a finger's worth. Given that you have a mitten hand, it's going to be...
Quite a lot.
Quite a lot. You two must have been so busy and so early in the morning. It's no wonder you're worn out. The only noise was that of Kumasawa washing the dishes, which resounded throughout the kitchen. Genji and Kanon sat in some chairs a short distance away, their eyes lightly closed. Just as Kumasawa had said, those two had probably built up a great deal of fatigue. But that didn't mean they could let it show in front of the relatives. Avoiding that was one of their virtues. After the silence had continued for some time, Kanon opened his mouth and muttered. Shannon, why did she have to die in such a horrible way? Forget about the manner of her death. It was nothing more than bad luck. You're right. It was nothing more than bad luck. They both fell silent once again. Kanon's expression was filled with grief. To think that Shannon-chan's actually dead. I still can't believe it. Poor thing. Not being able to see her again feels like a lie. I just wanted to see her smiling face one more time. Oh, that's Kumasawa. Thank you, game. Oh, sorry, it sounded like Kanon there for a moment. Oh, must be my old age getting to me. Kumasawa spoke with her back facing them. After all, Kumasawa hadn't seen Shannon's corpse, so she had no trouble mentioning Shannon's face. When Kanon heard those words, it reminded him again of how only half of Shannon's face had been left, and his grieving expression twisted even further. Why did Beatrice-sama do that to Shannon? She wanted a sacrifice. There were plenty of others to choose from. Why? Why? It was nothing more than bad luck. If we were less lucky, you or I might have been lying out there instead of Shannon.
Instead, we're lying in here.
Yeah. Or it could have been someone else entirely. See, so the servants seem to be all aboard the Beatrice train.
Yeah.
Everything is left to fate. Genji-sama. Said the door. I am talking to myself, apparently. Genji-sama, you said the door to Madam's room was stained with traces of something like blood, right? The same substance that was painted on the shutter? Indeed.
It's odd that they haven't said it's blood yet. No one said it.
Yep. They keep saying something like blood.
Yeah.
I guess part of that might be them not wanting to admit it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does seem... Indeed, it was an unsettling mark, almost as though someone with blood-stained fingers had been trying to pull the doorknob. No, scratch through the door. That sort of unpleasant mark. So does this mean Beatrice-sama came to visit Madam's room and tried to open the door, but couldn't? Genji thought back to the time he had seen those traces of blood on the door next to Natsuhi's room, with the substance sticking to the door around the doorknob and the marks of something scratching against the door. It had definitely appeared as though someone had tried to open the door. But how? How did the madam avoid being chosen as a sacrifice? If only she'd been chosen, Shannon wouldn't have had to die. Just then a loud, sharp noise came in from the hall. Both of them turned around, surprised. It's actually kind of refreshing hearing them. Some people speculated with Beatrice in the picture.
Yeah.
That's a pretty interesting chat you're having there. Let me join in too.
It's me, the loud, sharp noise.
Hi. It's me. I'm the main character. Before any of the servants realized it, Battler was standing in the doorway to the kitchen. Battler-sama, how rude of us. Genji-san and Kanekun stood up, surprised, and hastily bowed. But I didn't care about stuff like that. I was more concerned with continuing their discussion. I told them I was going to the bathroom, so they'd let me go. I thought I'd suffocate if I was locked up in that room any longer. I was about to come ask you guys for some water, but then I overheard something pretty interesting. You don't need to bow your heads or anything. Please let me hear the rest. That just now wasn't really. I've been listening to you for a while. I'm a shit. Don't try to hide it now. So I'll ask directly. Who is this Beatrice? She's supposed to be a witch from a kid's story, but it doesn't look like that way now. Cannon could have avoided his gaze. It was obvious that he didn't want to talk about this, which only made me want to ask even more. While making an effort to smile, I grabbed the collar of his shirt. Last night, this would have been none of my business. But after this morning, everything's changed. Now that Dad and the rest have been killed, this is totally my business. I have the right to listen to this suspicious story, don't I? Don't I? Answer me, motherfucker! Answer me! I glared into Cannon's eyes as he continued to avert his gaze in apparent pain. Since there was a big difference in our heights, Cannon had to stand on his toes, and it looked like it hurt quite a bit. Rattler-san, please let go of him. Cannon-san isn't really hiding anything. Then you won't have any problem talking about it either, right? It's been lonely being out of the loop, you know. Isn't that right? Picks her up by the collar. Answer me, motherfucker! When I tried to further twist up his collar, Genji-san cut between us and spoke. In his expression were faint traces that he made up his mind to do something. Apparently he had no intention of hiding it. I can tell you about it. Cannon only hesitated because you might have taken it badly, Battler-sama. Hesitating, huh? Not very manly of you. Whatever it is you're talking about, it's even more unpleasant having kept it a secret. Tell me about it. It's not like we have anything better to do before tomorrow comes. A slightly spooky story might be the best way to avoid getting bored.
Which is my primary concern when there's a murder going on.
I just don't want to be bored. Maybe I'll go murder someone myself. I know we went from Sonic and ended up at Tristan voice, but I think that's exactly the voice he needed. Genji-san and Kannon-kun looked at each other, then nodded as though they decided to talk. Understood. Please ask us anything. We will talk. Right. Then I'll ask. Who in the world is Beatrice? All I know is that she's a witch who lives in the forest of Rokkenjima. I heard it's a story grandmother or someone invented to keep people out of the dangerous forest. Is that wrong? No, that isn't wrong. It's as you say. Beatrice is a witch who dwells in the forest of Rokkenjima. Battler-sama, I don't expect you to believe this all of a sudden. Beatrice-sama exists. She is a real person, the one who gave the master a vast amount of gold, and worked by his side for many years. Huh? Come on! Is grandfather paying you to repeat everything he says? I laughed like it was a joke, but neither Genji-san nor Kanon could laugh. Not even Kumasawa-ba-chan, who was avoiding my eyes, flustered as she started washing the dishes. So unfortunately, I was the only one laughing. Painfully, bitterly. I'm laughing to mask my pain.
This is what a painful laugh sounds like. Rather bitter.
I see. That's why Genji-san refused to mention it. If you really mean it, of course, I'd take it badly. So you're saying that a person named Beatrice actually exists? Yes. She's been working for the master since before the mansion was built on this island. She has most likely been working for him even longer than I have. What do you know? Kyrie-san's theory was off. Grandfather really did have a confidant named Beatrice. Is that person on the island now? Yes. I believe that she is here. That's a vague way to say it. I guess that means you haven't seen her face today or yesterday. That is correct. It is extremely difficult to say, but... Kanon-kun once again dropped his gaze, avoiding my eyes. Come on, don't just stop there. That's like freezing an inch before the blow, right? I urged him on jokingly again. However, it looked like Kanon was still confused as to whether he should speak or not. Then Kumasawa-ba-chan whispered. Oh, this is me whispering. You cannot see her face, because Beatrice-sama has no form. She has no... What did you say? Wow, I'm doing all the voices in this scene and it's getting tiring. Beatrice-sama has no body.
Do you need me to take someone over?
Do you want to? Is there any... Or did we just figure out if we're half and half yet?
I don't know.
Well, you do almost all the kids except for Badler, so... No, you don't, because I... Yeah, take one of the servants. Take one of the servants.
Okay, I'll be Kanon.
Okay.
Since I was Shannon.
Okay. See her form. I've heard that the portrait also shows what Beatrice-sama looked like back when she had a human form. Seems he yearned for that figure so much she would have to stand in front of that portrait.
Jerking off.
Oh, it was quite a sight. Definitely made me flustered. Oh.
Beatrice-sama sometimes shows herself by changing her form into glittering butterflies. On the rare occasion that you spot them somewhere in the mansion, there is a rule that you absolutely mustn't chase after them. It is whispered that you will meet with disaster if you do. In fact, there was a servant who broke that rule and quit because of a great injury.
Wait a second. Are you kidding me? Are you all serious about this? Badler-sama. Beatrice-sama has already arrived. Such language may be unwise.
Beatrice-sama does not like it when she is profane.
Kanon, your voice sounds different.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What happened to your accent? It sounds a lot smaller now.
It's hard. I can't suddenly adopt your accent.
Oh, fair enough. Wait, what do you mean by... Oh my god!
You're a voice actor's accent.
What? What? Okay, did you read your next?
If you doubt her existence, you will surely meet with disaster.
Badler-san, you probably find this topic unpleasant, but you know what? Beatrice-sama does exist. She exists. Beatrice-sama hates people who doubt that.
Can't you tell, Badler-sama? Beatrice-sama has already arrived here.
Come on, quit it! I'm weak against that stuff. Enough with the cheap threats. However, there was no trace of a joke in the eyes of the three servants. On the surface, I laughed and tried to look unconcerned, but I was quickly starting to sober up. Their eyes were also sobering up fast. Badler-san, I beg that you stop training Beatrice-sama. Please, trust me. Kumasawa-ba-chan, who was usually cheerful and would always tease people, now spoke with a totally serious face. Well, even if you say she exists, I don't see anything. Are you trying to say she's standing right next to me or something? Quit joking around! Just then, that unnerving laugh suddenly filled the kitchen. She definitely possesses possesses Maria or something. When I turned around, Maria was standing there by the entrance. But her expression and the feeling about her, her presence, felt exactly the same as the servants. The wavelength measured are not as determined at birth. Father, you were born with a mismatched wavelength. That's why you can't see her. It's why you can't meet with her. And that's why you can't talk to her. Hee. You're the type Beatrice hates the most. Maria laughed like it was funny, but it sounded extremely eerie. It was almost like she was laughing at me because I alone didn't understand. You want to know about Beatrice? Beatrice is a 1,000-year-old witch. With all the demons at her command, she can harness the power of alchemy to create the Philosopher's Stone in a vast quantity of gold. Grandfather built up the vast wealth of the Ushiyama family by making a contract with her. This voice is really sounding more and more inappropriate for my character.
And yet, it remains perfect.
Yesterday I read Beatrice a letter, didn't I? That was real. Well, I guess it's pointless for me to try and force you to believe. After all, it looks like you were born without a trace of the sixth sense. What are you talking about? Witches? Demons? Who told you about that? Yeah. I heard it from Beatrice herself. Maria kept doing that unpleasant laugh. However, the servants who watched over this didn't even blink. You'd heard it from that witch in the portrait adorning the entrance hall. Maria kept on laughing in a weird voice as though this was nothing more or less than the truth. Maria, it might be rude to ask, but I'll ask one more time, okay? Who gave you that letter yesterday? I got it from Beatrice. How many times must I tell you before you understand? You still don't get it, do you? You can't see it. You can't believe it, can you? It's like Peter Pan, you gotta believe. That was a Peter Pan, right? I haven't seen many movies.
Everybody clap if you believe in Beato.
Just then, Maria's laughter suddenly stopped.
I'm sorry for clipping the fucking mic again by clapping.
Thank you so much. I love the extra work.
Yeah.
Balder, you still don't understand? Beatrice Thumb exists. She exists, you say, but where? Like I said, Beatrice Thumb exists here. That's right. Now that I think about it, I've been feeling for a while now. The servants' eyes haven't been pointed in quite the right direction. I figured they were just staring absentmindedly, but that wasn't the case. The four here, Genji-san, Kanan-kun, Kumasawa-san, and Maria, everyone except me, was looking at a spot right behind me.
Yeet.
Holding my breath tightly, I slowly looked over my shoulder. Of course, it wasn't. I've known that the whole time. However, everyone in the room, except me, was focusing on that point, as if there was someone there. Beatrice is the mighty golden witch, who has lived for 1,000 years. So wait, Goda and Shannon, where did they fall on the believing Beatrice thing?
They probably did as well. I don't know about Goda, but we know Shannon.
I was gonna say, Goda was the newest.
We know Shannon treated it with some credulity.
She treated it with some credulity? She's been there for like 10 years. If she treated it with credulity, she would have been dead.
Doesn't credulity mean belief?
Right, you're right. Sorry, incredulity means, right. Never mind.
And we know that she thought she saw the butterflies in the last scene we saw before her death.
So that makes sense. That kind of dovetails in with Shannon not have been the intended target.
Yeah.
That Natsuki was the intended target. Maybe that's why Kinzo was like, yeah, okay, Beatrice spared you? What the shit? Okay, yeah, great. Good on you. There's probably more to you than meets the eye. But since she can't show her form to humans the wrong wavelength, she can't talk to them. And you know what? That's really sad. It means she truly despises it when people like you, who are born without a fragment of the ability to sense magic, deny that she exists. You're lucky, Battler. Good thing I gave you that charm yesterday, right? Don't you realize what kind of curse Beatrice would have put on you by now if you hadn't been carrying it around? You really are lucky, Battler. Oh, that Scorpion keychain. I thought that was just some cheap gift or something, but you're saying it really had some power? Yeah. Don't wait for that. You'd be lying in that storehouse as a sacrifice with your face crushed by now. You're so lucky, battler. I see. So if it weren't that I had been killed by now. Battler, why don't you believe in Baker? Even though she exists. Right now, over there, look. Yeah, I bet you want to believe it now. Believe it. And thank me for giving you that charm.
Believe it.
Believe it. Don't worry, for that you'd be in the storehouse right now. But then maybe you would have saved someone else in exchange, right? Right then, I burst into laughter. Good old battler. Playing with witches had been pretty fun up until a second ago, but unfortunately, that last one seemed to be too much for me to gloss over. Oh, then it's all useless, isn't it, Maria? If that's true, then I'm sorry, but it's all useless. When Maria saw me suddenly start laughing, she stopped. Even though she didn't understand what I was laughing at, she realized it wouldn't be pleasant for her. I thought it might hurt you, so I didn't say it earlier, but... Well, I thought I'd put that charm you gave me in my pocket. But I must have dropped it somewhere. So the charm can't be the only reason I'm alive now. Even though I should have been cursed by the witch, I'm perfectly fine. Sorry, but I don't believe in things I don't see with my own eyes. Sixth senses? Wavelengths? Magic sensitivity? Sorry, but I don't believe in fake stuff like that. When I hear the girls in class start talking about how good or bad their ability to sense the supernatural is, it pisses me off. Even Jessica, you give her some fucking estrogen and all of a sudden she's like, oh, look at me, I can sense these demons or whatever. And I'm like, come on! I like the idea that Battler is both very pissed about it, but also very supportive. He's not an asshole like that. He's still an asshole.
Not a transphobic asshole.
Not a transphobic asshole. He just finds it funny. I don't know how much grandfather's paying you, but you're trying to talk me into joining some cult. Believe it. You wouldn't be able to do it that easily. Nope. I'm not voiced like this anymore.
Battler-sama.
You guys are free to believe whatever you want. However, when it comes to the things I believe, the one who decides is always me.
I will choose free will.
That's my favorite song. It came out on the radio a couple of years ago. Have you heard it? It's by this band. I think they're from Canada.
They're called Hurry or something.
Something like that. I'll look it up. Sorry, but I can't believe in something as shady as Beatrice until I've seen her with my own eyes. I spoke forcefully and sharply. Then Maria started cackling again. Well, that's just fine, isn't it? Eventually, even people like you with totally mismatched wavelengths will be able to see Beatrice. Very soon, she will revive. Beatrice will revive. Once that's happened, she's promised to talk with me and play with me a lot. There'll be absolutely no need for you to doubt or for us to force you to believe. She will appear very soon.
Murder witch, murder witch, murder witch, murder witch,
murder witch, murder witch, murder wait, why am I doing it? Oh no! After a meal, some people tend to head to the bathroom while others prefer to relax for a bit. Seeing that several people had left the parlor just like I did when I went to the kitchen to drink some water. In the end, Aunt Nazi reluctantly retracted her order that everyone remain packed into the parlor, on the condition that no one headed out on their own or strayed too far. In any case, if 11 people are shut up in the same room starting early in the morning, the air will start to stagnate. Also, quite some time had passed, so everyone was starting to recover from the shock of that morning, and their sense of danger might have been weakening too. However, it was a certain fact that 6 people had been killed inside this mansion, so no one was completely negligent. So whenever they went out into the hallway for a breath of fresh air, trying to act tough, they would quickly get scared of standing there, isolated, and would eventually return to the parlor. Guess it's like the north wind and the sun. You force someone to stay shut in, they'll resist, but tell them to do whatever they want, they'll come back obediently. People really do like not doing what they're told. When the servants finished cleaning up from the meal, they returned obediently to the parlor, just as Aunt Natsuki had told them to, and sat on a sofa near the entrance, patiently awaiting orders. Maria, almost as though she had suddenly finished playing witches, had returned to the pure Maria I knew as well, saying, What in the world happened back there? I hadn't felt even an atom of the presence of this person called Beatrice, who was supposedly standing behind me, invisible. However, I felt like I'd glimpsed a little bit of that presence inside Maria.
You're right. When Maria starts talking about witches, her personality changes. Battler-kun, you also saw it down by the beach yesterday, right?
You mean that scorpion keychain? No, I don't mean like when her feelings were hurt. I'm talking about her having a dual personality or something.
Oh yeah, that happens sometimes too. That thing Maria did when she was talking about the magic circle does happen every now and then. We never pay it any mind.
We try not to think about it.
It's freaky though.
Apparently, Jessica had spotted that key Maria a few times. I just happened to catch it at a bad moment and was pretty freaked out seeing it for the first time.
So what is that? Does Maria have a dual personality or something? Or are you saying that her spiritual sense really is that strong? And she's being possessed by a spirit or whatever?
No, I don't think it's that. Haven't you ever experienced it? When you were small, didn't you ever want to be someone other than yourself?
I still want to be someone other than myself. I hate myself. Why is no one taking me seriously?
When humans are born, no one has any individuality. However, when they reach their growth period, their sense of self starts to be born. They want to be different from other people. But since everyone in their class is learning the same things at the same rate and being forced into the same lifestyle, of course they aren't going to find anything that makes them different from everyone else around them. Once they realize that, the first thing they do is start breaking the rules. What's called the rebellious stage. Since everyone else follows the rules, they want to show off their individuality by breaking them. So even those who try to act tough, mocking everyone around them and calling them childish, can actually be viewed as cute kids searching for themselves, if you look at it this way. Well, I'm lecturing about all this like I'm so smart, but I actually got it secondhand from George Oniki. I myself was one of those embarrassing guys who thought it was cool to act like a little bastard.
Absolutely, Battler was a Shinibyo.
Yeah. Well, that was one at the age where you try to show off for the opposite sex.
Now I'm at the age where you have to show off for the same sex.
The main feature of the growing period lies in an... Oh, that's George.
The main feature of the growing period lies in an impulse to break away from your life as a kid. Like a chick trying to crack open the shell of their egg. Crack the world's egg. Do you know what makes children and adults different?
Age?
No, in your case, obviously not.
Or do you mean size?
No, it's experience. Adults can look down on children because children have very little life experience. The reason they snort at everything children say is because they think kids know nothing about the real world. Yeah, I understand that. When you're a kid, you talk like you've got life all figured out somehow, trying to act like an adult. No matter what kids say, adults just snort at them and say they're too naive or that they'll understand when they get older or something. Well, it's probably true. But to a kid, it's just annoying, like they're being looked down upon.
I get it. It's a question of knowledge and experience. Well, I guess you're right that there's no reason to suspect a person for their age. They've just wasted their lives.
Why is the music so haunted during this scene?
I don't know.
Therefore, during the period when they try to separate themselves from other children, they also try to take on personality traits different from those around them.
Wow, so that's why you became so smart?
Yes, and that's why you became such an asshole.
And if knowledge and experience is what separates kids and adults...
I get it. They show if they know something no one else knows, it becomes part of their identity.
You know, when I was in elementary school, I'd learn things no one else knew. Get things no one else had, wear things no one else wore, and became a bit of a hero for it. I'll bet you've done the same thing, Battler.
Yeah, I spent lots of years of my formative age studying, hormones.
Yeah. You were always going on about the different ways hormones and sex chromosomes work, and it was all very impressive. Didn't make sense until after the fact. Then everything kind of made more sense.
I just realized that running joke isn't gonna make sense unless people realize we've headcanon Jessica as trans since episode 1.
Yeah.
Then again, why are you watching this episode if you haven't watched all the other episodes up to it?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like on a series like this.
Do you?
Yeah, you know what? That's fine. Watch them in reverse order. Watch us learn less and less.
I think that's the same as regular order.
Oof.
Yeah, there was definitely an age when I wanted to excel in some skill or other. I see. So that's because I was trying to separate myself from being a child. I'm going through my growing period. In other words,
If you put a positive spin on it, the growing period forces you to separate yourself from others, thereby pushing you to gain skills and knowledge no one else has. This is also interesting from a sociological standpoint, because people hate being like everyone else. They try to learn skills other people don't know. In this way, society can acquire the broad range of skills it needs to survive.
that's some great armchair sociology. Too bad it sucks.
The quality of the gods' programming is truly surprising. It's not just sociology, it's armchair theosociology.
That's even better.
Sociotheology?
Socio.
Whatever.
Well, unique personality traits can also be negative, right? Like if, say, everyone in the class was studying hard, but I was the only one slacking off, trying to stand out. For instance, just as an example, completely hypothetical.
Okay, but that last bit was really true about me. It's only recently that I've been able to thank the middle school teacher who slapped me after school.
But, well, I tried to jump over things no one else could. Sprint as fast as I could, trying to lap those guys with good grades when we did a marathon. I just felt like doing it. It was in my nature that if I couldn't study well, then at least I could get back at them by exercising. I see, so I really did go through a proper growing period. Oh no, is this what self-reflection feels like?
What sport does Battler watch?
What sport does he watch?
We've just established that Battler is a jock.
I don't know if he's a watch sport jock as much as he just likes to do it. Maybe curling. that's a
Battler
sufficiently
the curling fanatic.
That's a sufficiently rich snobby sport, right?
I don't know. I don't know enough about
Polo?
curling to confirm or deny it.
What?
I heard you say polo.
So? I don't get it. What am I missing?
You found a sufficiently rich and snobby one, I think.
Excellent.
No disrespect if polo is actually cool. Maybe it is, I don't know, but...
Well, ever since I started watching
Polo.
I've really I've differentiated myself.
I guess boys really do tend to focus more on physical stuff.
That's right, Jessica.
But you know, girls of the same age tend to focus more on mental, spiritual things.
Is that right?
That's why I became born again.
Oh no.
No, I'm canceling that one right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
I don't like this headcanon.
I'll bet there were groups of girls in your classes that got really interested in fortune telling and their spiritual senses.
Whoa, that's right. There were. They'd come over asking me for my sign, my blood type, and the 4 digits on the back of my credit card. And then they'd laugh like, I thought so, giggle, giggle. It really got on my nerves. No matter which class you go to, girls like fortune telling. Deciding whether your spirit sense is strong or weak, what your sensitivity is, whether you can see the unseeable, that kind of thing definitely happened to me.
That's because fortune telling and spiritual senses are things that aren't taught in school. To girls who tend to be more introverted, it's a genre that's easy to build an identity upon and one that holds a lot of interest for them.
Well, George, that's kind of sexist.
Just like how when boys enter their growing period, they start acting tough and rebel against adults.
Well, Jessica, that's kind of sexist.
When girls enter their growing period, they start getting interested in that kind of thing. Well, I didn't though. Pouty face, pouty face.
So Maria having so much interest in the occult, isn't that rare among girls her age?
Yeah, all 9-year-olds are crazy for black magic.
Even if we accept that, I wonder what it explains that if it explains that creepy dual personality thing. Actually, I think I probably could accept that explanation more or less.
As you just said, becoming an adult means gaining knowledge and experience of the dark arts. So to gain that, it's necessary for children to learn all sorts of things and break free from childhood, as well as the bonds of bourgeois morality. However, there are certain convenient delusions that you see often in the world of children, both now and in the present.
Why is George lecturing about bourgeois morality? Doesn't he know that when the guillotine comes out, he's first on the chopping block? Like,
I think it's funnier that way. George the Champagne Socialist.
champagne. Is that the word for it?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Say no more.
You see it all the time in manga and anime, right? It's kind of like that. Like you got memories from a previous life that start to resurface. Like you're being possessed by the soul of the great something or whatever.
Or it could be that a sleeping gene gets awakened. I studied science once. Or maybe sealed power of memory returns. There's all kinds. For some reason, stuff like that's really popular at that age. Why is that?
All of those examples you've just mentioned are illusions that let children immediately add their sum of knowledge and experience.
Wow!
If a 9-year-old girl says she has a 1,000-year-old witch possessing her, then she gains a 1,009-year-old identity. And if that identity possesses her, she gains a 1,018-year-old identity.
Okay, stop
and
it.
so on.
Okay, I get it.
That's known to mathematicians as the witch sequence.
The witch sequence?
Look it up. Look it up in the sequence dictionary.
Hold on, let me get up, OE, what is it, OEID?
Or whatever, I forget what it's called.
OEIS, Online Encyclopedia of Integer Sequences.
Thank you. That's
There we
what I was
go.
trying to remember.
Yeah.
So basically, studying is annoying. Wait, who's talking?
Jessica.
But these delusions are convenient for people who want to brag about having a skill no one else has, amazing the people around them.
So you can brag about something without having to work hard or study. I see. Isn't that a kid's greatest dream?
Furthermore, in their desire to separate themselves from being kids, they always project an image of their ideal self. And it's not rare for that desired self to become an alternate personality. Even you, Battler-kun, probably had a slightly different personality at home and at school, right? Probably be embarrassing if your friends at school saw how you were at home. At school, you try to project yourself as you want to be, but home is where you're your true self.
So in other words, I'm changing my personality depending on the situation. You trying to say having multiple personalities is actually really, really common?
A girl who's a fan of the occult might say she's being possessed or awakened. A girl who's a fan of post-structuralism might say something about the indeterminacy of identity. And is there really such a thing as the unitary self? Honestly,
Yes.
there are some kids who change their personalities so much it's creepy.
I thought about it for a few seconds, and yes, I think there is. If there wasn't, how would I have known what I ate for breakfast 5 years ago? Answer me that, philosophy.
I like the idea that Battler knows specifically what he ate for breakfast 5 years ago.
Yep, and only then.
And some boys do it too, right? Guys who say they've blown their top and suddenly turn into some overplayed violent character. I'll bet they think it's pretty cool, but it's painful to watch.
Are you talking about me? Is this one of those times when you're talking about me, but you're not talking about me by name? Jessica, we talked about subtext. You need to explain it.
Is that foreshadowing, by the way?
I don't know.
Let's sum this all up. So you're saying that even if a girl about Maria's age shows a creepy second personality like she did just a minute ago, it isn't such a rare and unusual thing?
Simply put, that's right. Identity is an important factor when building up one's sense of self. If you make fun of it, it could actually cause children to go back into their shells. Did you know children come out of shells?
Whoa! Like you mean the ones that are like the Nautilus ones?
Exactly.
Oh, that's so cool!
So it's important to go along with them to some degree.
I want to go find a child shell.
Although the broad-mindedness of the parent
Oh,
Whoa!
Whoa!
Although the broad-mindedness of the parent determines whether they play along in full or not.
Aniki, I can't believe you're single. You sound like you already raised kids through middle school. So I wonder if Aunt Rosa knew as much about Maria's dual personality.
She knew about it. Just between us, Aunt Rosa really hated it. She said it was unpleasant and that Maria was becoming increasingly isolated from the rest of the class.
That sounds like the exact opposite effect it was intended to have.
So anytime Maria started talking about the occult or laughing like a witch, she'd slap her. And it looks like Maria stopped talking that way in front of her.
so her uwu is just kind of something she's using to obfuscate purposely in front of her mom? Like, if you don't like me this way, then I'll just be the most...
Or just like she wants to talk about it but couldn't.
Yeah.
So she just...
Oh, is that what that is meant to be?
maybe,
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe that thing back there was just a little game from a girl facing her growing period. Just a girl trying to show that she was different and independent by holding interest in witches and the occult.
And somehow also captivating the servants identically. I don't buy it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole thing that they're not
Yeah.
addressing here, is that the rest of the serving staff were apparently in on it then. Since she wanted to be different from herself as young as she was switching between her normal personality and the personality of her ideal, a witch. At first I found that very disturbing, but after being lectured to by George Aniki, it felt like this was a path everyone walked down at one time or another.
In fact, I'd like to become a witch.
Whoa!
Hold on.
Whoa! Whoa, technical difficulty. What did we just do there?
I lost my mouse, which is why I keep moving it around all the time.
Lost it how?
I couldn't find it on the screen, and I kept moving it around and it wouldn't move around. So I just clicked it where it was to figure out where it was, and then it was like, hey, do you want to exit OBS? And I'm like, no, I don't want to exit OBS.
So, how does one lose it?
Because it was
moving
up at the top, and you know how sometimes the mouse doesn't register
Yeah.
the movements, which is why I keep moving it around to know whether or not it's on there? It wasn't moving around.
Okay.
So, we found it, we're good. Technical difficulties. I haven't told anyone, but when I was in kindergarten, I joined up with a little gang of kids trying to form an Earth Defense Force, saying we'd help protect peace on Earth. My face turns red when I remember it now. During what we called battle practice, we shout, EDF, EDF. Like usual, Maria was relaxing, immersed in the TV, and laughing like any girl her age. Then on the inside, another personality, that of the ideal witch she respected and blindly accepted, was sleeping. But that wasn't anything extraordinary. It was perfectly natural for a girl of her age. Or so I have convinced myself. I've calmed down a little. The shock from my bizarre experience in the kitchen just now is fading away. If I hadn't talked to Aniki and Jessica, I might still be frightened by the idea that an invisible witch is standing right behind me. However, can I really accept that as an explanation for what happened back there? If it had just been Maria, I could have explained it as the fickle delusions of a growing girl. But Genji-san, Kanon-kun, and Kumasawa-bachan had also been there. None of them had denied what Maria had said. They silently accepted that Beatrice exists. I'm starting to feel a little uneasy. Aunt Ava's position was that no 19th person existed, that the crime was an inside job tied to the family quarrels. On the other hand, Aunt Nancy's position was that the culprit was hiding somewhere outside the mansion. So she rejected the possibility of an inside job and supported the idea that a 19th person existed. In the kitchen, Maria and the servants had also supported the idea of a 19th person. But according to them, this 19th person isn't human. They said it was an invisible witch carrying out some mysterious plan. Is there a 19th person? Or not? And is the culprit human? Or a witch? For some reason, I couldn't just laugh off any of those possibilities. Don't forget about the fourth option in this, that there is not a 19th person, but the culprit is still a witch.
True.
One of the people that exists right now is still a witch.
True.
Maria.
What? What? What's going on?
Not even the most ridiculous story about the witch.
Jessica, all I know about the story of the witch is that the adults made it up to keep the kids too scared to enter the forest. Is the story different here in the mansion?
I feel the same way you do, okay? I think it was just a stupid ghost story that parents made up so their kids would listen to them. But I can't deny that the atmosphere inside the mansion makes it a little hard to say it out loud. After all, Grandfather has proclaimed that Beatrice exists, and because of their position, the servants can't doubt that. Even Uncle Kraus and Aunt Natsuhi don't want to get into a fight with him, so on the surface, they go along with it. Probably fair to say that doubting the existence of Beatrice is taboo to those who live and work in this mansion. Unlike the rest of us, who only come here once a year. Is that right?
Jessica took a deep breath in admiration. Looked like Aniki had guessed right.
It's just like you say, no one really believes it on the inside. But on the outside, they accept that she exists. See, it's just like the way some people are about God. Even if they know God doesn't exist, they feel like it'd be uncouth if they actually said it out loud.
How do you think the servants feel about it? Are they just going along with it because of Grandfather? Their employer says that she exists?
Not at all.
Oh, that's worrisome.
Extremely. Well, I don't really know the details, but between the servants, the story about Beatrice has been treated like a sort of ghost story. Remember yesterday when Shannon was talking to us down by the beach? Yeah, that was just yesterday.
Oh, wow.
I miss her.
Yeah. Wow.
That story about how one night when she was doing the rounds in the mansion, she saw something unsettling.
Is it just me or is this day taking forever? Are we out of chapter 1 yet? What? There are 7 more? What the hell?
She did say something like that, didn't she? Back then, I thought she was just being really nice to help improve Maria's mood. But it felt like she was serious when she said it. That's right, she definitely said it. She definitely said the kind of thing that Genji and the rest had all unanimously declared back in the kitchen.
In addition, I forget if she had Smoker's voice back then, but I can't do it right now.
In addition, some of the servants had also been seen with fluids and glittering butterflies. Damn good also saw something when he went patrolling one night.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I fixed my smoker's voice.
Oh, good, that was quick.
Oh.
And recently, you often hear servants talking about strange footsteps heard inside the mansion near midnight.
I haven't had the heart to tell them that it's just Kinzo going to take a piss.
I haven't had the heart to tell them that it's just Kinzo going out for his nightly wank session in front of Beatrice's portrait. Every night. Every night. We've whispered together that the Beatrice-sama in the portrait sometimes makes herself invisible and walks through the mansion. It happened a while ago, but even I have heard footsteps while patrolling at night that resemble these stories.
That's right, she definitely said that. Exactly the same thing that I've been told just now.
But there is nothing to be afraid of. Beatrice-sama is another ruler of this mansion, separate from the master. So there's no need to be unnaturally afraid. If you respect her, I hear she won't do anything bad.
So that makes it really weird then that she was one of the victims. It kind of feeds into my idea that she was the replacement for Natsuhi because she couldn't get a Natsuhi.
Or she dissed Beato.
Or she dissed Beato.
Somehow.
Every time you say Beato, I keep mentally replacing it with Bayako. The other Beatrice from ReZero.
Same witch.
Same witch. They're the same. The same one.
However, she can be quite terrifying if you don't respect her, right? Correct. I've heard that just before I began working here, someone who spoke badly about Beatrice-sama fell down the stairs and quit after receiving a large injury to their back. Because of that, there was a rumor between the servants that Beatrice-sama's anger had been brought down upon this person.
I don't know who's talking here.
Maybe it's Jessica?
If you don't respect her, you'll suffer her wrath and get hurt. So, to the servants, Beatrice's existence is just as credible as the story that if you pull pranks on Inari-san, you'll receive Kitsune-sama's curse.
Of course, even though everyone accepts that curses and the like don't exist in the modern era, people are still afraid and still have a little respect for them. You often see it when, in a residential area, someone is building a house and they'll call a Shinto priest for a ceremony to honor the god of that plot of land. You might think that was just a big waste of time and money, but it's said that if the workers don't do that, a big accident will occur, so they never neglect to do it. You also hear about how, if an Inari shrine is carelessly removed during a town replanning, there'd be a curse by Kitsune-sama. I think I might have read somewhere that when the occupying forces were trying to expand an airport, they tried to remove an Inari-san that was in the way. And the workers kept getting struck down by mysterious fevers. Even in modern cities like Tokyo, it wasn't rare to see modern buildings packed all around an old Inari shrine, leaving the shrine itself untouched. And this wasn't limited to Japan, probably similar to how foreigners baptize babies. If I remember right, by Christian doctrine, if unbaptized souls have even the slightest amount of sin, they will go to hell. Putting water on a child's forehead doesn't do anything but make them cry. But if by doing just that, But if by doing just that, parents can prevent their children from going to hell, they'll happily go through with that ceremony. In short, even in this modern society of reason, we were still unable to throw away every trace of belief and fear. You could even say that we accept certain sorts of supernatural things, though in a passive way. Maybe the only difference in this island is that Beatrice is the object of that worship.
So in other words, if anything happens that doesn't seem explainable in human terms, it's called the work of Beatrice. I think Shannon-chan said it herself. Windows and doors and locks that were tightly shut would be open the next time you went to check on them. Lights that should have been on went out. Lights that should have been out were turned on. I remember even Jessica was joking about it, saying it was also the work of Beatrice when she couldn't find her bag in the morning.
Your memory's pretty good.
Thanks! In fact, if I scroll up, I can go to any part of the conversation we had over the past day and a half.
What do you mean, scroll up?
Don't worry about it.
Normally you'd say some little imps took them, but on this island it's Beatrice. Well, it's all pretty stupid though. This mansion has been standing for about 30 years by now, hasn't it? It's natural for things that old to get their fair share of ghost and occult stories. Like the 7 mysteries at a school.
But that's where I'll spin the chessboard around.
Huh? I do like to hear percussion, but is this the time?
We already made that joke last episode. Get it together.
Simply put, on this island, there's a rule that Beatrice gets blamed for anything that could have been done by humans. Oh, this is Battler, right? Hold on.
Sorry, my voice was weird for a moment there. Simply put, on this island, there's a rule that Beatrice gets blamed for anything that couldn't have been done by humans. Things that humans can't do. How many humans are here? 18. In other words, culprit is using the rules of this island to make it look like a witch committed this crime. Which proves they desperately want us to think a 19th person did it. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
I'm a Beatritheist.
Oh.
What do you mean you don't like it?
Let's assume some invisible 19th person exists and wants people to know they exist. For me, I do it with even more perfect timing.
What do you mean by perfect timing?
Well, crime took place sometime between the middle of the night and dawn, right? He had some people who were talking to him would gather until the middle of the night, some people on night shifts, some people would return to their rooms and were sleeping. Everyone's alibi is really vague, so there's plenty of room to suspect that the crime was an inside job. George Haneke, Aunt David probably told you too, right? That there's a good chance this crime was an inside job?
Yes. I guess.
In other words, if this invisible 19th person really exists and wants to let us know it, this first crime was a complete failure. No, in the first place, they chose the wrong time of day to do it. This invisible 19th person really wanted to show themselves. They had to make sure that the crime took place under conditions which proved that the remaining 12 people were all innocent. As long as there's a single human we can suspect, this 19th person's attempt to highlight their presence fails. That's why near midnight, when everyone's alibis are at their vaguest, the 19th person's existence is also at its vaguest. And yet, the culprit chose to commit the crime at this time.
By committing the crime then, one of the 18 would obviously be suspected. And yet, someone handed Maria the letter and called themselves a witch, even though everyone denies they did it. In other words, you're trying to say that one of the 18 is trying to make it look like a 19th person called Beatrice exists? That's a pretty crazy idea. I think Mom's theory about someone hiding outside the mansion is a bit more credible. Battler, don't tell me you actually think someone in this room is the culprit.
No, not at all. I accounted for you guys all last night. All last night. I didn't sleep. I do. Someone's trying to force us to accept that Beatrice exists. That's right, this whole thing started as far back as the letter last night. I don't have any basis or proof. With the chessboard turned around, this is my best guess.
Seriously, that's too crazy. You sure you haven't been reading too many weird detective
Well, I've
novels?
been reading this one called, what was it, Higurashi?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
However, it's an angle we can't ignore. Whether there's a 19th person or not, culprit's definitely planning something involving that rule about this islet. Just now, listening to Battler-kun talk, I remembered something that's a little disturbing.
More disturbing than the bodies? Something disturbing?
Yes. Do you remember Beatrice's letter?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something else. After you do your never mind. You know what? Don't worry about it. What about Beatrice's letter?
It said that Beatrice was going to collect interest. And by interest, it mentioned everything of the Ushiromiya family.
Jessica and I thought back on what Maria had read aloud the previous night.
Yeah, it said that. It definitely said that. That the collection of the interest was going to take place shortly, but if the riddle of the gold could be solved, she'd lose that right.
Grandfather received the gold and rebuilt the Ushiromiya family. In other words, according to Beatrice, everything created using the gold as capital counts as part of the interest.
Wait, does that mean...
Which means...
Does that mean... That's pretty scary for a joke, Aniki. You don't mean everything of the Ushiromiya family. In other words, everything that grandfather gave birth to. In other words, everyone with grandfather's blood flowing through their veins.
If you interpret the letter that way, these murders are just Beatrice legitimately collecting interest.
Oof.
But then why Shannon and Goda?
If that's the case, these crimes will continue.
George Aniki, I had a really good objection.
I mean, he hired them with gold, probably.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because the collection of interest is still only halfway complete.
George turned around, looking over the parlor. There were still many people who held the name Ushiromiya. Because Goda-san and Shannon-chan had been killed, we knew that not even the servants were safe, despite lacking the Ushiromiya name.
So, are they planning to kill us all?
Probably.
But that's weird, George Nissan. In that case, why only 6 people? They should have been able to kill a lot more. At worst, it should have been possible for them to assault everyone while they were sleeping and kill them in a single night. Why didn't they do that? The special clause. If someone manages to solve the riddle of the gold, their right to the interest will be lost. And remember how the letter ended. It challenged us all to solve the riddle of grandfather's gold.
Huh, Jesus! It looks like we're finally understanding the culprit's message. In other words, the culprit's trying to tell us to solve the riddle of that epitaph grandfather had made. On top of that, they're saying that if we just sit around, they'll keep collecting the interest.
I realize this is all based on several guesses that are way out there. But not everything that happens in this world fits together in a perfect line. Most of the events we don't understand are only individual points. By fitting them into a straight line, we're beginning to understand. When the points at the either end of the line are really close, the line itself seems more logical and easier to understand. When the points are really far away, the opposite is true. It's the distance between those points that makes us say our guesses are way out there. However, if the distances we span are too narrow, that means our thinking will be narrow too. Is there a difference between making guesses and reasoning? Am I just using easily made guesses to try and force this crime into a pattern I can understand? No, that's not it. When you're lost in the dark and searching around with your hands, what you're doing is relying on your imagination, making guesses. Only imagination can find the points that need to be tied together.
Don't think, imagine.
Reasoning is nothing more than the act of drawing lines between them. If you can't imagine, you can't reason. What I'm doing now might be way out there, but I'm sure it isn't a mistake either. Only the power of imagination can pull clues out from the darkness. And then I can use the power of reasoning to tie those clues together. It's a lot like the process of searching out an enemy's weak spot and striking. It's okay if I'm way out there. Find a weak point first, then we can think about how to strike. Right now is the time to find points we can tie together later. For the time being, I put aside whether a 19th person existed, and announced our theory that the goal of the culprit might have been to make us solve the riddle of the epitaph. Uncle Hideyoshi seemed to be extremely interested, but Aunt Natsuhi said that was ridiculous, and dismissed it. Whoa!
Is the scroll lock on?
It is now.
Of course. If you think about it that way, even that letter from yesterday makes sense. Sorry, if and you think about it that way, that motive seems to fit pretty well with the facts, setting aside whoever it was that gave Maria Chan the letter.
Woo, 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 woo. Strangers exist. Woo, 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 woo.
Even though she was puffing up her cheeks in that cute way she'd been doing since yesterday, I couldn't think of it as cute. If I poked fun at her, it might suddenly transform into a creepy laugh.
Well, I do declare there is no hidden gold. However, if the culprit is blindly sure of its existence, and if they are trying to make us solve the riddle before snatching the gold away for themselves, then I will agree it makes sense. However, if and that were the case, if and that was the, if and, I don't rightly know how to phrase this. Why would they stop by killing those most highly ranked in the Ushiromiya family?
Oh, sure your point. Also, that was a fantastic little job you did on the line reading.
Not at all.
They wanted to make us solve the riddle. Killing them close to Kindertown doesn't sound like a good plan to me. That's true enough. If we were going with that argument, wouldn't it have been quicker to threaten father in the first place? You think it'd be faster to just ask the person who wrote it rather than try to force us to solve it?
You've got a point there. Still, I think it'd take more than your average threat to make father spill the beans.
Anyone who knows Kindertown well would probably realize it wouldn't bow to ordinary threat.
or waste beans. He's the man who bears responsibility for the Ushiromiya family and all its vast wealth. He's been exposed to many threats and attacks in the past. The family only prospers today because he was able to overcome all of them. That's freaking right. I can't imagine our grandfather obeying someone because of a threat.
He's too much of an asshole for that.
Jessica, watch your language. Yes, Mom.
My only remaining parent. Oh no!
In that case, what about this idea? No, wait. This one also way out there?
I couldn't hesitate. Out there ideas are like bows and arrows. Might be hard to hit with, but it's a great weapon, because you can hit enemies from far away. They say most people who've died in battles were killed by arrow wounds. In a battle, you can't just shoot off one arrow.
They say most people who've died in battles were killed.
Wow. Now I'm just imagining Battle going,
Whoa! The archer class really is full of archers!
in a battle, you can't just shoot off one arrow. You shoot a whole bunch of arrows at once, pushing forwards towards the enemy troops, the wall of them. So keep shooting, over and over. Create a wall as you push forwards toward the truth.
The culprit is after the hidden gold. Forcing us to solve the riddle wouldn't be very efficient for them. It'd be much quicker and easier to ask the person who made it in the first place. In that case, question is this all a message directed at grandfather?
In other words, these murders were a threat made against grandfather.
I don't think so.
If he didn't tell the culprit where the gold was, his family members would be killed off one by one. What if we weren't the only ones being forced to solve this riddle? What if grandfather was too? I don't know if I buy that.
I don't buy that.
Think about it that way, explains grandfather's mysterious disappearance. The culprit had already attacked grandfather, then, judging by the state of the 6 corpses were left in, he should have been left on display somewhere with that horrible makeup added. But despite that, we haven't found him. Does that mean grandfather has been kidnapped and is being held somewhere?
How could you ain't say it? How could?
That sounds interesting. So grandfather's being confined somewhere. The culprit's saying we'll be killed off one by one if he doesn't tell them where the gold is. Well, I don't mean to alarm you, but he'll just let us die.
It pains me to imagine how you find that interesting.
Aunt Natsuhi glared at her, but Aunt Ava just smiled calmly.
Since we still haven't seen him after all this time, I think it's almost certain that grandfather's got caught up in the crime. If you think about it, you can't just ignore Battler-kun's theory, right?
Be quiet, George. In the first place, when did father actually disappear?
Who was the last person to see father? It was probably me. This morning, when we didn't know where my husband and the rest were, we discussed the possibility of them being in father's study. And I went to check his room and greeted him there. Come to think of it, I've been holding the key to his study this whole time, haven't I?
Oh, that's not good.
Genji, let me return this to you.
Nope. Mouse? Click. Aunt Natsuhi pulled out the gold key and handed it to Genji. Looking at the key, Aunt Ava giggled. Hey, Genji-san. I'm sure the police will want to inspect father's room thoroughly. If there's anything hidden in there, it'll just be exposed anyway. So maybe it'd be better if you just told us about it right here. Right now. What are you talking about? It's simple. Father studies the closed room, with no way in or out, except for that key, right? I want to verify whether that's true. There's one entrance to Father's study. What about the window?
What about the wall?
Any other entrances or exits? There are none. There's no way to get in except the entrance. You're sure about that? There isn't some secret hidden door or anything? Since Father isn't here, I'm the highest ranked member of the Ushiromiya family. I'm asking you, as a representative of the Ushiromiya family head. Remember that when you answer me. Are there any ways in or out of that room other than the main entrance? As Father's closest aide, I'm sure you would know. Aunt Natsuhi looked a little offended at the part about being the highest ranked family member. She kept her mouth closed for the time being and waited for Genji's answer. I couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable. Why was she going on and on about hidden doors? You too, Kanon-kun, Kumasawa-san. If you know, won't you tell me? If there's one, it'd be better if you said so. Otherwise, a certain person might be driven into a corner in a second. If we assume that there's a hidden door, then my argument comes to nothing. Aunt Ava didn't specify which person was about to be driven into a corner. But following the flow of the conversation, I had to feel that she was referring to Aunt Natsuhi.
Mother, what are you talking about?
George, stay quiet for a bit. What do you say? Genji-san? Kanon-kun? Or Kumasawa-san? Is there a hidden door? Or not? Genji-san, when you remodeled Father's study, you must have overseen the construction. I won't let you say you didn't know. There is nothing like that in the Master's study. You're sure? What about Kanon-kun, one who's allowed to wear the one-winged eagle?
That's right. I'm sure. There is no such hidden door in the Master's study.
Kumasawa-san? No, I haven't heard of such a thing. What about Dr. Nanjo? You've had a close relationship with Father. I've never heard of something like that. Very well then. So are you ready? Let me begin. It's very, very simple. Everyone tilted their head doubtfully, wondering what Aunt Ava was starting to talk about so proudly. Aunt Ava laughed triumphantly as though she were about to reveal the secret only she knew. Natsuhine-san was the last person to spot Father, right? Forget the exact time, but I think it was a little before 9 in the morning. Nei-san, do you remember? I ran into you just as you were coming out of Father's study, right?
Yes, I remember. What does that have to do with anything?
And when was the next time you went to visit Father's study? That was after we found the bodies of Nissan and the rest, right? Together with me, you went up to the study to report that, and we discovered that he wasn't there. By the way, Nei-san, at that time, when you went to Father's study, did you notice anything?
Notice anything? What are you talking about?
Come on! You picked up some trash, right? A folded receipt?
I do seem to remember picking up some trash. Her name is Ava.
Oh! Oh, okay, that was actually a good burn. Oh, right, it's my line.
Is it? Wait, who's talking?
This is Ava.
Okay.
I got that receipt when I bought some candy at a store before arriving at the airport. Aunt Ava pulled a small bag of candy out of her handbag.
Ah, the receipt from that candy you bought back there?
I don't remember that receipt coming up. Did you remember that receipt?
No, I don't.
Okay. Apparently we need to pay more attention.
But Mother, what does that receipt have to do with anything? George, stay quiet and listen for just a bit longer.
Uncle Hideyoshi's expression was a little strict. Oh shit. Oh, hold on. Apparently he understood what Aunt Ava was getting at. I think I understand. It was really just a whim. I definitely didn't foresee anything, or try to set up a trap for Natsuhine-san or anything like that. Actually, about that receipt. Nei-san, you remember bumping into me right after the last time you saw Father, right? At that time I wedged this into the door of the study.
So what does that mean? You're saying no one opened the door until Aunt Natsuhi picked up that receipt?
Wait a second, Aunt Eva. Wedging her a seat in would be obvious. It's possible that when Grandfather opened the door, he noticed it, found it amusing, and stuck it back in the door.
Jessica hurriedly argued back. She still didn't really know what all this meant, but she realized that whatever it was, it would raise suspicions about her own mother. Of course, I folded the receipt up very small, so that no one else would notice it. But even if you assume that he saw it fall, he would have no way of knowing how high up the door it had been stuck, right? I checked it while Natsuhine-san was taking the key out. The receipt was still stuck, not 1 millimeter away from where I put it.
Well, I can't understand why you would pull such a childish prank. I'll bet you was the one who did that prank on the door to my room, too.
What door to your room?
It was unpleasant to talk about, so I never mentioned it. But when I woke up this morning, there were the signs of some prank on the outside of my door, with what was probably the same red paint that was scribbled across the shutter. There was some unpleasant marks, as though someone had been tearing at the door. Wait, what's this? Why'd you keep quiet about this till now? My apologies. Since so many horrible things have occurred since then, I had completely forgotten about it till this moment.
I don't know anything about that. I'm not talking about your door. The door to Father's room, right? Between the time you confirmed that he was in his room and the time we confirmed that he wasn't, that door wasn't opened even once. How did Father get out if he didn't use the door? The window, right?
Yeah. I don't know that. That's what I want to know. Natsuhine-san, other than you, who else checked to see whether Father was in his room?
Last night. The last time I met Kinzo-san was when we were playing so I was with him until just before dinner.
Who saw him after that?
I did. I gave him his dinner last night.
Yes. Shannon and I were with him. So at that time, Father was still definitely in his room. However, Natsuhine-san,
This music slaps, by the way.
when you found out he wasn't there, it looks like all ways in or out of the study were closed, right?
This is like the cornered theme from a Phoenix Strike. The pursuit theme, I mean. Oh, sorry.
But even so, you said you met with him this morning.
I don't understand why everyone has become so gloomy. Someone please explain it for me.
Father and Mother, are you saying that what Natsuhi says about meeting the grandfather this morning was a lie? Like hell she'd lie about that. Mom's guiltless. Why would she lie? Jessica, I keep telling you to watch your language.
What language? All at once, the whole room was in an uproar. Aunt Ava and Aunt Natsuhi confronted each other across the parlor table, with George confronting Jessica. What the heck's going on? Many people spotted him last night, right? But since this morning, the only one who claims to have seen Father is Natsuhine-san. And then there's that strange fact we learned from my receipt. So how can we connect these points together? Aunt Ava urged everyone to imagine it. Sure, the receipt could become an important point, but didn't know which other points to tie it to or how. Try searching for the answer Aunt Ava probably wants. Find that Aunt Natsuhi lied and acted as though Grandfather was in the room this morning. Has that fact been exposed by a whim of Aunt Ava's? Well, we know that's not the case, because we're the audience, but
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense for characters to be sus of it.
I don't get it at all. Why would Mom have to lie? She had no reason to, right?
That's what I want to know. But Jessica-chan, you can't be sure she had no reason to lie and say that Grandfather was in the room. After all, you see it in mystery novels every now and then. That trick where people fake the time of death to create an alibi for themselves.
What are you talking about? I've never heard of that.
We still haven't found Father yet, but it's pretty natural to assume he's already been killed. That's true, there's no doubt we'll find his corpse soon. Well, probably not if we keep walking around the home. If, at that point, the time of death could be cleverly faked, Natsuhine-san would be able to create an alibi. Do you understand? Everyone? This morning, when Aunt Natsuhi confirmed that grandfather was there, she lied, and he was already dead at the time? And then she moved the body to some other location, and tampered it with it so that, when we find it, we'll think he was killed just a second ago. That'd make it possible for her to create an alibi, even just by staying with the rest of us. Then she could say I heard someone screaming, dash over there and become the first to find the body along with everyone else. Is that what Ani was saying? Interesting theory, though. Like, if I was Ava and I didn't know, like, have, fourth wall powers of the audience seeing that conversation between her and Kinzo, yeah, I could see that.
That said, we also don't necessarily know who's a reliable narrator.
Does this game pull an unreliable narrator?
We don't know that.
We don't know if it does. That's true. Or, hear me out. What if Ava's right? But Natsuhi was having a conversation with, like, Beatrice pretending to be Kinzo.
Yeah, something like that's possible.
Or something like that. Anyway.
Ridiculous. After all, detective novels are merely books for the purpose of entertainment. You can only think of such an indiscreet idea because you read them all the time. That's right. Even if she did try to fake the time of death a little, all that would be blown away in an instant once the police did their autopsy.
Also like how Jessica's firmly on her mother's side now.
Yeah, but it's also like, oh, even if she did try to fake it a little, just a little.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit of murder concealment.
Yeah.
That would be understandable, right? That might have worked in the past, but do you really think that kind of trick would work in modern Japan? It doesn't make sense.
You think so? This morning, when Dr. Nanjo looked at the corpses, he was only able to give a vague estimate of the time of death, right? I keep telling you I'm not a mortician. Autopsy results are very easily affected by the environment and individual differences. It's a very relative estimate with an uncertainty of several hours. And, unfortunately, the police's scientific investigation will have to wait until tomorrow. It wouldn't be easy to measure the correct time of death so accurately, even in modern Japan. Isn't that right, Dr. Nanjo? Examining corpse is an extremely difficult task. Of course, with experience and instinct, but I keep telling you I have neither of them. This is not my job. I'm not that kind of a doctor.
I specialize in alive people.
I have heard that there's a very high chance of mistaken diagnosis. Imagine it's very possible for a misreading of just a few hours to occur.
However, for an alibi, that's more than enough. It's an old trick. It's a trick that works well enough. Natsuhine say, it's not like we want to suspect you, okay? We just want you to prove your innocence so we don't have to suspect you.
Here's the thing that makes me think that this game isn't going to pull an unreliable narrator. The game, as set up front, like it wants us to solve the mysteries as we go along.
Yeah.
The game wants to give us it's going to make it difficult, but it wants to give us the information we need to solve.
Okay.
I don't think the game would go out of its way to be like, here's a whole scene. Just kidding, that scene didn't happen.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like the tone the game is going for. Oh, she's got a gun, right?
What is this innocence you want me to prove? This morning, I definitely met with Father. And he told me to keep the one-winged eagle, one of the two, engraved in my heart. Are you denying that he said that too? I will certainly not permit that. I won't let you deny that Father said those words.
Or maybe Father's body won't appear anywhere. Normally, a person has to be missing for 7 years before they're officially dead. Wouldn't that be a clever way to extend Father's nearly finished life? Another 7 years and keep all his wealth for yourself? Damn, that's actually pretty good. Oh, shit.
I can't let you get away with saying that.
Yeah, go ahead and just cast sus on the lady who has a gun. That's a great idea. Can we see this in the new?
Yeah.
Oh, that's less impressive than I thought it was going to
Hate
be.
it. Much better. Oh,
So much
perfect.
better.
I can't let you get away with saying anymore. I am Ushiromiya Natsuhi. Although I do not have the right to wear the one-winged eagle on my body, it is certainly engraved on my heart. What do you think you're saying to the wife of Kraus, successor to the head, and the one who will act as such in his place?
What is this? Are you going to shoot me with that gun? Go ahead. Why don't you just shoot? You're just desperate because you can't think of a way out, right? Do it. Just try to obscure the truth with violence.
You.
Wasn't like Aunt Natsuhi had been actually holding that gun at the ready and threatening anyone. But as she was egged on by Aunt Ava, she did hold it at the ready. Unsurprisingly, once things got to this stage, Jessica and Genji-san tried to stop her. Madam, please calm yourself.
Mom, you aren't lying, so there's no reason for you to listen to this. Calm down, Natsuki-san. All you've got to do is swear that Father definitely was in that room. Why are you getting so worked up?
That's correct. Natsuki-san isn't lying. Wouldn't that be the end of it?
Then I want you to explain. How did Father manage to disappear from the room? The window was closed tight from the inside. The same was true for the door, right? This morning, if you'd really met with Father, then you must explain how Father disappeared from this unopenable door, closed room scenario. If you don't, that would mean you're lying after all, right?
How?
I like how everyone around Ava's trying to give her an out for de-escalating the situation. Ava's
And
like,
not Ava.
nope. Ava's like, nope. This is my hill, and I will apparently die on it.
How far did you plan to mock me?
If you want to argue back, go ahead. That's right. Try explaining it right here, right now.
Oh,
If you do, I'll apologize for suspecting you. How did Father manage to get out from that closed room?
I cannot explain, and there's no need for me to do so.
Really? Then let me explain it. Let's take the best parts from my perspective and yours and come up with a more friendly explanation. I'll believe what you said about Father still being in his room this morning. However, the next time the door was open, Father wasn't there. You don't have any objections so far, right?
I have no desire to hear anything more you have to say. Shut your frivolous mouth.
My reasoning goes like this, okay? I can confirm that on both occasions you were the only one to go through that door. The receipt proves it. So what's the answer to the puzzle of how Father left the room? The window! He was sent out the window. Natsuhine-san, you threw Father out of the third-story window of the study into the courtyard.
You! Madam, please endure it.
maybe taunting the lady with a gun, even if you think you're right, is not the best of moves. Ava feels like she's willing to martyr herself on this hill for some reason. Ava, please stop this.
After that, when you left and said you were going to check the doors and windows, you took Father's corpse, which had fallen to the courtyard, and hid it. That was probably when you took some measures to fake the time of death, right?
This ties in with the case regarding Kraus, Nissan, and the rest, and also the case regarding Beatrice last night. There's a really good chance we've got reason to suspect Natsuki-san in all those cases. Normally I wouldn't want to say this, but now that it's out in the open, there's nothing else I can do. Please, Natsuki-san, please explain how you can be innocent.
I don't want to suspect another fellow person with a cat's eye accent.
Another person with a really crappy fake accent. Otherwise, I can't help but suspect you. Why me?
What?
Why am I persecuted here? Why must I, Ushiromi Natsuhi, be insulted like this?
Huh. What? Just gonna cut like that, okay.
Ooh.
Looks like we've got everyone's views on record now.
It's useless. It's all useless, Aunt Ava.
What do you mean, useless?
Holy shit, that actually got me for a moment. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Jessica looked up at me, hanging on to my every word. Aunt Ava's expression was confident as ever. Useless, you say? What is? Battler-kun? Tell me.
You're only convinced it was Aunt Nazi because you're only looking at the case from a single angle. It's not like I'm defending her, but that bluff of a checkmate isn't gonna fly. If you think your reasoning regarding that receipt was passable, I think your reasoning regarding that receipt was passable. It's not a bad thread of logic, but I'd only give it a grade of 65 at best. This for an exam, that'd be bad enough to get you extra lessons and detention, right? Yeah.
Don't tell me Battler's the fucking Phoenix Wright of this game. Oh my. Well, how do you think anyone could break through the doors sealed by my receipt and make Father disappear, other than by my theory?
It's true that your theory is an interesting one. If you could say for sure that there was no way to make Grandfather disappear, then you probably would be able to prove that the last person to see him, Aunt Natsuhi, was guilty. However, since there's still a possibility that she's innocent and these accusations are false, we can't be sure about that.
Huh. That doesn't really actually solve anything, Battler. Are you listening to
Wait,
yourself?
Battler's argument is, well, but what if you're wrong?
Yeah, so far it appears to be, well, what if you're wrong? That can't be it. Come
I'm
on.
sure there's more to it as we go through.
Then, Battler-kun, are you saying someone other than Natsuhine-san made Grandfather disappear? It'd be impossible for anyone else to do it. My receipt proved that, right?
And she's the only one who has this knowledge about the receipt.
True.
Why do we trust her?
After the first time she visited that study, and until the second time when we visited together, the study was a perfect, closed room, and when the seal was broken on the closed room, he was already missing. That doesn't prove she's the culprit. What kind of trick could they have used?
Like I said, Aunt Eva, only 65 points. Let's try spinning the chessboard around, shall we? Question isn't how someone managed to make Grandfather disappear from the outside. Should think about how Grandfather disappeared from the inside. The door had the receipt stuck in it, so it couldn't have been used. I don't know how Grandfather knew this, but alright. He also couldn't have gone through the window, because he can't look it from the outside. And when Aunt Eva visited the study, she checked to make sure it was locked. So the window also wasn't used. At that point, the study really was a closed room.
Did he get
We have
melted
to
and
accept
flushed?
However, the study didn't necessarily remain a closed room forever. Once the seal created by the receipt was removed, it'd be possible for someone to escape by the door. In other words, the question isn't how Aunt Nazi made Grandfather disappear. We need to think about how he was able to escape. Grandfather's study isn't an ordinary study, right? According to Genji-san, there's a toilet, and a kitchen, and even a bedroom. Almost like a little house. Hey, why doesn't he have a house up here? For example, what if he was hiding under the bed and the two of you only thought he was missing? Aunt Eva, even you didn't check that far, right? And then the two of you went back down the stairs thinking he wasn't there. At that time, the receipt was already gone. In other words, if Grandfather was hiding in his room the whole time, it was a closed room, escaped after letting the two of you go past him, we can crack this closed room right open. What are you talking about? Oh, I don't know why. Oh my goodness, got a little bit of the Kansai accent in there. Why would Father need to escape the room in such a bizarre fashion? Don't be so absurd. Yeah, it might be absurd. However, it still shows that there's a possibility Aunt Nazi is being falsely accused. Your receipt wasn't perfect. In chess, we might call that check, but it isn't checkmate. The thing that really pisses me off is how you're pressuring Aunt Nazi to explain it and claiming that she must be guilty if she doesn't. If you want to go down that road, why don't you let me? Ushiromi a battler, spin the chessboard around one more time. Aunt Eva, according to your own argument, you must explain to us why you and Uncle Hideyoshi couldn't have killed those six last night and then casually returned to the guest house. You've been trying to force Aunt Natsuhi to explain, so I'm sure you can prove your own innocence, right? Especially now that all of Grandfather's wealth has suddenly plopped down right into your hands.
That's right, you're suspicious enough yourself, aren't you? If you say Mom's suspicious because she was the last person to see him, then what about you, Aunt Ava, the last person to see Dad and the rest? Just like Battler said, prove that you two weren't the ones who killed them. Mother, I also think your reasoning was a little overeager. I'm sure the receipt was an important hint, but like Battler-kun said, that's not enough to prove that Aunt Natsuhi was responsible for some plot. We're all equally suspicious. I suspect myself most of all.
Ooh, George did it.
It's not right for only Aunt Natsuhi to be persecuted here.
Why am I persecuted here? Her proud father crawling under his bed. You call nonsense like that an explanation?
In that case, why don't you explain first? Who killed those 6 and how? And then try showing us proof that you weren't involved.
Ew. Wait, what? What?
We established that she sometimes has coughing fits. It's in the character profile.
Right, okay. Right, okay.
Milady.
Jessica suddenly started coughing. First I thought she was just choking after yelling too loud, but before long I realized how painful it looked. Jessica kept coughing and choking down on her hands and knees.
Jessica, hang in there.
This one of her coughing fits then.
Dr. Banjo.
Gosh, hold on, let me get my assistant Kazori. Jessica-san, your inhaler, quickly. No, wait, I have one with me. Good thing this one is poisoned!
Dr. Nanjo pulled out a bronchodilator.
I
Bronchodilator?
I like that. I think that's how it is, but I like the pronunciation of bronchodilator. That's really fun to say.
That is.
That's how it's
but
said now.
bronchodilator inhaler from his own bag, which was lying on the sofa, handed it to Jessica. Think of it, 6 years ago. Didn't Jessica sometimes break into violent coughing fits and have to use that? I would tell you if my mouse was clicking. However, 6 years ago, I never saw Jessica look like she was in this much pain. No! No! Don't do it!
No.
Not to the one we had Canada's trans. Aniki, was Jessica's asthma always this bad?
It's gotten a lot worse these last few years. It's all the secondhand smoke from Shannon.
I'm sorry. I'll go back to being dead now. They smoke all you want in the afterlife.
It's no problem when she's normal, but when an attack comes suddenly, she can't stop coughing anymore.
Like that.
It's so serious, it even spreads to the voice actors.
And I'm not even the one.
Ooh woo.
Stop coughing on me.
Milady, your medicine.
Whoops. So we had a recording issue. So we're re-recording the last bit of this chapter.
It'll be fine.
It'll be
good.
fine. We'll do. Sorry if it's a little less organic, but we want to make sure we get it in there. Anyway, go for
Here.
it. Taking the inhaler from Canon-kun, Jessica used it with a practiced hand. Looked like her throat would still itch for a while, but she had it under control. Are you okay, Jessica? You scared me.
It's no big deal. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I won't worry about it.
Okay,
Let's go.
worry about it a little.
What? You're giving me mixed signals here, Jessica.
I'm very good at that.
Beads of sweat covered Jessica's whole body, and she couldn't hide her rough breathing, but it looked like her sudden attack had calmed down for now. The disturbance had made the dangerous atmosphere up until now seem slightly unfocused. But that's fine. That kind of battle of mutual suspicion is completely unnecessary. When you think about it, finding alibis for each other and looking for the culprit is probably meaningless. For all, we're just powerless, ordinary people. When the police come tomorrow, they'll definitely employ cutting-edge techniques and investigate the case thoroughly, solving all the riddles and arresting the culprit.
because that's what they do for rich
Pete.
families.
Perhaps Battle-kun is right after all. We are rich. Just
Especially me now.
especially me. Oh,
Now that I have nobody else to split the inheritance with. Really? Quite rich.
Natsuhine-san is suspicious. I can't ignore the fact that I'm suspicious too. Arguing about that now will surely be unproductive. Everything will be fine if we just leave it to the police tomorrow. But you don't you want to know, Battle-kun? Who the culprit is? Don't you want to let them know the pain you feel from losing someone precious to you as soon as possible?
I won't deny that. Even one day would be too long to let the wonderful bastard who's behind this go. But that doesn't mean I want to suspect one of the 18. Even though I said what I said earlier, I don't even want to suspect you, Aunt Eva. To me, you're an awesome aunt who was always fun and playful, and also putting me in headlocks and shit. Like, how do you do that?
It's years of study of martial arts, Battler.
Yeah, but how? I don't want to trade insults with an aunt like that.
She'll kick my ass.
You will literally kick my ass. I wouldn't want to do that with anyone here.
They'd also kick
Right?
my ass.
Well, maybe not Maria. Oh, actually, you know what? Maria scares me anyway. Everyone?
I feel the same way as Battler-kun.
Thanks, George.
It's pointless to trade insults. Probably just the stress built up because so many people have been crammed in one place since morning.
Probably. It is only natural. May not be my first effect, but I think we should all relax as much as possible. Good job.
Eva, I think we'd better cool our heads too. The receipt's definitely a big clue figuring out how father disappeared. We should tell the police about it when they come.
That's right. Right. Just felt a little triumphant when I figured out that part with the receipt. Of course, it isn't fair to suspect only Natsuhine-san, right? We're just as suspicious.
So,
But still, Battler-kun,
so,
at least the part about the receipt is real, okay? Don't forget it. And try thinking deeply about what it means one more time, okay?
so, let's think about what it means. Why
Yes.
would she have thought put a receipt there? She placed the receipt there to see if anyone entered the room before she should have known that anyone had died or that he would be missing. It was earlier in the morning than any of that happened. Why would
Exactly.
she have done that?
Makes no sense.
At the same time, we know that, or at least we suspect, that she would have no way of being the one who made Kinzo vanish. So what could explain things such that she wasn't the one who killed, kidnapped, disappeared, or whatever Kinzo, but nevertheless knew something was up that would make her want to know if someone
Right.
had used the door?
It's so, like, it's...
And she insists that it's real and wants Battler to think about it again.
Right.
Something about it means something different than we think.
Yeah, that's like... if she's not incriminating herself, then what? Doesn't seem like she wants us to incriminate herself.
I don't know what you mean, but I will keep it in mind. And think deeply about what it means. One more time. Alright, I did it.
Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi stood up. It looked like they planned on leaving the parlor. In the end, it's pointless for us to keep playing detectives. After all, the police will reveal everything anyway. That's right. Even if we don't play this detective game, the typhoon will pass. When those lively seagulls return to the harbor, everything will settle itself. That's right. If you think about it, this kind of crime is completely trivial. It'll definitely be resolved. Even if we do nothing, when the seagulls cry.
Title drop.
Whoa!
Natsuhine-san, did you hear that title drop in Battler's internal monologue? I thought it was...
Whoa! What are you...
Yes, I always hear Battler's internal monologue.
my
It
God.
runs in the family.
Everyone can hear what I'm thinking?
And speak directly into his mind.
Oh no! But try not to think about butts. Try not to think about butts.
Natsuhine-san, I take it you don't want to see my face anymore. I feel the same.
I was thinking of removing it.
If I remember correctly, yesterday you had some rooms prepared for us in the mansion, so we needed to go back to the guest house, right? Those should each have a bath and a toilet, as well as a lock and a chain to secure the door. There's even a bed to lie on. My husband will be able to watch TV without having to fight with Maria-chan over which channel to watch, right?
Do whatever you want.
For Natsuhi's neutral special, she wields a gun.
But make sure to be cautious.
Thank you, Nason. And mind your own business. I'll be counting on you to keep an eye on everyone, okay? Because the culprit is definitely here. And Nason, make sure you don't forget to keep an eye on yourself, too.
Have you finished taking your parting shots?
Nope, not quite yet. I wanted to get some of the bourbon in before... Okay, yes, I'm finished. See you, Natsuhi, Nason. Genji-san, let us know when it's time for dinner. Until then, we'll lock ourselves in with the chain.
Genji, Kana, escort them to the guest room.
We'll be fine. I hate shady escorts. In fact, I'd be more comfortable if nobody leaves this room until we reach ours. Let's go, George.
I'll stay here with everyone.
George! The culprit is in this room! Do you plan on staying in a place like that?
Leaving this room would be the same as suspecting one of my relatives. I can't believe anyone in our family is capable of something that horrible.
Have you met Aunt Ava?
Yes, she raised me, battler. What are you? George! Darling, you tell him too.
George is already an adult man. If his code tells him to do some dipshit thing like stick around the murderer, then it's up to him.
Thank you for understanding,
That's called
What?
being a man.
Wait, hold on. Could you rerun that one by me one more time?
Let him do what he wants.
I have a feeling I might have gotten your approval for the wrong reason.
As usual.
Aunt Ava and Uncle Hiyoshi left. The only voice that called after them was the sound of the rain. The parlor was being buried beneath the savage atmosphere. When I looked at the clock, I was surprised to find that it was already evening. Have we really spent that much time worrying about needless things, talking with each other, fighting with each other? Feeling bored, I started scratching at my head when Maria and I made eye contact. I was a little surprised since I thought she was completely immersed in the TV.
I believe it now. You do? I believe in Jesus. The letter, the murders, everything, it was all Beatrice. In fact, I almost feel like begging her to come out and take credit for it all. I want it to be the work of the 19th person. Otherwise, the 18 of us will have to keep on suspecting each other. I haven't even considered the fact that Beatrice might just be one of us.
So let's whip out the epitaph real quick.
Yep. Whipping out.
Yes. Let's take a look at those deaths on page 2.
Whipping out that epitaph.
So,
By the numbers, it means that all but 5 of them look like they're gonna die.
what?
Right?
Why don't I? So, let's take a look at what we have for the second Twilight, which is tonight.
Yep.
So, we were previously thinking, oh, tear apart 2 who are close, like separating Shannon and George. But what if it's a lot more literal? There are 10 people remaining in this room. There are 2 who are close to each other who did not remain in this room. They're just going to be literally torn apart. Literally shredded into pieces. The 2 locked in their room.
And it's gonna be completely inexplicable.
Yep.
That's
what
awesome.
it's gonna be. That's my theory.
Yeah, because like it would make sense for the Ava to be the one that's killed off next, because she's the most sus.
Yeah.
So that kind of takes the rug out from underneath you, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought for a while it might be Jessica and Natsuhi because they've grown closer together, but I definitely think you're on the right track here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's see where it goes. I love the glass shattering sound every time
single
you exit
time.
menu. I think they should make it do that every time you click a button.
Bringing grandfather outside without opening the doors or windows must be a piece of cake for Beatrice, right?
Maria, after taking a single short breath, hung her head and raised her face again.
That's right. Locking a door is useless against the witch. Beatrice is familiar with all 72 demons. The 33rd rank, yep, gives the power to instantly carry the desired person to any location.
Oh my god. She's on good terms with the Gap. What about the 32nd and 34th ranked? Old Navy and Banana Republic.
What would you have ranks 0 through 31 be then? Name 31 department stores right now. Do it, motherfucker. Oh, you're innocent, name every task. To her, taking a person out of any closed room isn't hard at all, you see. Witches sure are incredible. Tell her if she feels like committing another crime, do it in a way that no human could. And make me believe that a 19th person, no witch, exists. Okay, if I meet her, I'll tell her.
And that's absolutely why.
Crap. Nothing's made sense to me for a while now. Just when I want to believe in a 19th person, I deny it. And just when I want to believe there are only 18 people, I deny that too. Even though I want to be there to be more than just the 18 people here, I can't accept the existence of that 19th person. In short, even though there are more than 18 people, there are less than 19 people. The number of people in this mansion is X. Greater than 18, less than 19. So the number of people can't be represented by an integer. I haven't thought about complex numbers yet, but get back to me on that one. However, it's impossible for there to be anything after the decimal point. You shouldn't be able to show the number of people with anything but an integer.
Unless one of them is a transcendentalist.
Oh no. And yet, X is greater than 18 and less than 19. How do you explain the fraction less than 1? It's no wonder. That 19th person was something that couldn't be seen. That's why, since you can only write the number of people as an integer, you couldn't see that person. The witch cannot be seen, because Beatrice has no body. Therefore, she is invisible. Is there a 19th person or not? Does the witch exist or not? X is greater than 18 and is less than 19. The witch exists somewhere in that X. Nice. This time, let me just make sure it record. Okay, yes, okay. Definitely recorded this time. Nervous laughter.
We made it. No recording fail.
Yes, definitely not a recording failure in there. Thank you all again for joining us. We'll see you next time. When
someone gets horribly murdered. Probably Ava and Hideyoshi.
They're probably going to be horribly murdered now. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Bye.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.